everyone, this is John. How are you? I'm having a long night. Been having a few of those. I picked up this game. I saw a video of it, I don't know, a while back. Thought it was kind of interesting. It's basically about waiting and being patient. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Deep, deep beneath the earth, there lay the realms of an old king. I need to put my headphones on, or this is not going to be pleasant. I'm pretty sure it's going to be making reverberations. So let's switch to headphones. Wait. Deep, deep beneath the earth, there lay the realms of an old king. Deep, deep beneath the earth it is. My powers have faded. All I have left is you, my faithful shade. All I ask of you is to wait and to never leave these caves. I shall now sleep for 400 days to gather my remaining strength. Wait Wake me when the time has come to end all fear and longing. So this is my home, a nice place to spend the next 400 days waiting. I will need to find all four parts of this instrument before I can enjoy the pleasure of making music. I currently have one time instrument part. I'll, draw. Time is progressing slow and steady. Slow and steady. Nothing better than resting the weary body on a comforting armchair. I'm gonna sit and stare. I've done that plenty. Oh, this is gonna be slow. I think the king will allow me to explore his vast realm, but I better remember the way back. There's no need to hurry. I have plenty of time to walk. I really like these stairs. Look, piece of coal. I see something living on the ground. Pick up. A lump of coal. I will keep you safe, my little brother. is going to be a slow game, but that's okay because he and I are kind of in the same place right now. The door hasn't opened in a long time. I think it might take a while. This door hasn't opened in a long time. It might take a while. So this game is going to help me practice patience. I'm thankful for it. I could squeeze through already, but not to wait until the door is open in full glory would be blasphemy. There, it's open. This seems like a great place to be lonely. I better remember the way. Super slow. So, if you didn't notice, this taking a stroll in these magnificent halls sure is a fulfilling occupation. If you didn't notice, this is real time. A lump of coal, a fallen brother is returning home. I now have 2 times coal. Music is pretty good. I should talk to myself more often. I feel like I've been waiting a long time too. I don't know for what though. I'm looking for something in these caves. I'm just not sure what. year isn't that super long. It's a long time, but I thought it was going to be a lot longer than that. This is a slow game. It's nice. Huh? I have never understood life. No. You know, it's dreadful how slow it is, but the part of me that enjoys training sees it as a training opportunity. Well, I don't know what all this is. Here. I should probably save this one. Huh? These carvings seem to show a rather crude map of the kingdom. It would take some time to decipher it. From time to time, solitude can be a good thing. weird maze, I think. Unless there's recurring. This jump is too exciting for my tastes. I'd better wait for that stalactite to come down first. I guess that could happen in a week. Okay, got a first dead end. Let's save this one. I still like the smell of earth. I like the smell of earth. Is what it said. My apologies. This sheet of paper will be useful for my art studies. I wonder where it came from. I now have 3 times paper. More coal, got 8. Coal's useful though, can improve the fire for the fellow. Oh, more coal. Wonder how much it takes. I wish I had someone to talk to, but I can still talk to myself after all. I just need to sit down for a while and sort out my thoughts. I've waited way more than a year for things. I understand this guy's plight, you know. He can't even go to the store to be around people. So this must be very difficult. So I'd say, yeah, even though I've had to wait for a long time, being alone like this is probably worse. Ten times cold. Oh man, this is a maze. Sometimes a beautiful melody is playing in my head. A defeat. I now have 1 time disappointment. It's kind of funny. part of my instrument. If I gather all of them, I will be able to make some music at home. I now have 2 times instrument parts. I thought it said musk, but it's music. I thought the IC was a K. What's up, lady? Inspect moss. Where's this moss? There is moss growing here, but it's not ready to be harvested yet. Splish splash. Let me let the dog out. No. Come inside. Lady. Where the bugs here? Lots of moss in here. This little droplet is doing a lot of hard work. What a failure. I think I could make it if I wait for the friendly droplet to fill up the pit. It might take a month. This might take a month. water's not deep enough to drown myself in. A piece of wood might be useful for building a bed. Sometimes I want to stop walking and just sit down to think. sheet of paper will be useful for my art studio studies. I wonder where it came from. I now have 4 times paper. I hope the king doesn't mind if I borrow one of his books. I now have 5 times books at home. Oops, I skipped the words on accident. I think that was paper. I don't have an inventory or anything, I don't think. Lady. Come here, lady. Lady. Come here, lady. Come here, lady. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Come on. What a meaningless ascent. I now have 2 times disappointments. But it would be good to exercise on. I used to run stairs in basic training, and when I was out in the real world, I want to run some stairs again. But I gotta wait till my legs work better. Alright, let's see. I might make another burrito. I've been putting seasoning in it. Definitely chipotle. Chipotle chili pepper is a great seasoning to put for nausea and upset stomach. And so what I do is I take about 2 handfuls of finely shredded Mexican style cheese, just whatever the best tasting stuff I can get, because the price isn't usually that different, so I usually shop around to find bread that tastes okay. And I put 1 tortilla on a plate, clean plate. Then I put about 2 handfuls of finely shredded cheese. Then I sprinkle a little bit of chipotle chili powder over that. It's quite good for upset stomach. And I've been experimenting with other spice variant combinations. I like minced onion. Dried minced onion is good. It adds a little bit of flavor and texture to it. Because after I season it all up, I heat it up in the microwave for about a minute to a minute and a half. And I roll it, because when you put a tortilla in the oven, it's very pliable. And then I put it in an air fryer, and that makes it crispy. Because I don't really like soft burritos. I like crispy burritos. I don't know. It's kind of nice. Didn't have that before air fryer. This last 7 years ago, there was no air fryers, so it's kind of nice. Makes it a little crispy. Finishes melting the cheese. Because the cheese is gooey anyway. So why not have a crispy and gooey rather than a gooey tortilla and a gooey cheese? Gooey cheese and crispy tortilla. And that's about all I eat. Like 1 or 2 of those a day. But it's a heavy protein source. So I've probably said this before. There is moss growing down there. I better wait till there's enough to guarantee a soft landing. I guess it will take about 2 weeks. Okay. So that's tasty. And I was using a sauce and salsa, but I don't like it. I just don't like the combination. And for a while there, I was eating it with this Chipotle ranch sauce, a Guy Fieri thing. And that was pretty good. And I would mix like a spoonful of salsa and a spoonful of that ranch Chipotle seasoning. And so I'd microwave it first, and then I'd put the sauce on it, and then I'd roll it, and then I'd put it in. I'd put it in the air fryer. But the Chipotle is just a soothing thing for my particular stomach, and I liked that for a while. But then I no longer liked the texture of it personally. I didn't like how it I don't know. It was too much liquid in it for me, but you might be different, you know. I did it for a while, but just I don't know. The combination just it changed for me, so I switched to powdered chipotle powder directly to the cheese, no sauce whatsoever. And then you got to remember that the traditional is Mexican style like seasonings that you can get at Walmart and stuff is basically cumin and coriander. Most taco seasonings and stuff like that have cumin and coriander in it. And the best thing to do is to just choose one seasoning and just experiment with that one seasoning. Like right now I'm experimenting with chipotle powder, right? So, or I ate chipotle powder burrito for about a week or so. That's all I'll eat. Because again, it's like it's like I don't know. Anyway, the so the thing to experiment with is like mainly amount. So if you put the cheese on it and you put a certain amount, put a little seasoning, put a little chipotle powder. Now if that's too much, don't put as much. If it's not enough, put more the next time. And I like to just focus on like on one seasoning for a while. But I've experimented with a lot of them. Like I have a whole cabinet full of seasonings, and personally, the combination that I'm trying now is coriander, cumin, chipotle pepper, smoked paprika, um, minced onion, garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder, black pepper. But the, the thing with having so many different seasonings is it's necessary to just put a little bit of seasoning. And so that's where it comes in portion control. Because I remember when I first started cooking, making the mistake of putting away, I mean years. And when I say first started cooking, I mean from the time that I first started experimenting with cooking omelets in my parents' kitchen before I joined the army to making burritos, no, burgers and burritos at, well, we did make burritos, but I made a lot of burgers for friends because burgers are easy, and we used to make like gourmet burgers. And my buddy and I would make a lot of different um, flavored burgers. Like I was stupid. I didn't even know how to thaw ground beef. Like I put the ground beef in the water. Like, and it was awful. It was it ruined the meat. But fortunately, ground beef is inexpensive, so it's easy to try again. But my bud what my friend, best friend, my roommate. Well, what my roommate used to say is the first one goes to the dogs. So, I mean, just the first time I would cook a burger or the first time I would cook anything, I would expect to throw it away because it would just be so bad that it would be worthless. Like I could not eat it. It was so bad. And sometimes, I'll be honest, I've tried some recipes that I would cook the same meal for a week. Like when I started cooking omelets, I would make omelets like breakfast, lunch, and dinner for weeks until I figured out how to make an omelet. And I would try all kind of different stuff, and I'll Google different stuff. But I always try to start simply and expand from there. Because there's a lot to an omelet. There's like how heavily do you beat the omelet? Like the egg. So it starts with the egg. You crack the egg. How heavily do you beat the egg? Do you want it a little chunky or do you want it uniform in texture? And then what do you add in it? Do you cook the egg first and then add the toppings like the cheese? Because I mostly ate cheese, but I would also cook up bacon and chop it up and put it in my omelets. But I like cheese mostly. I'm an omelette du fromage kind of guy. Omelette du fromage, and that's not a French accent. I'm making fun of Dexter's Laboratory. So, and that's something I got from my uncle John. You know, he didn't teach me or anything, but I always watched him when he was cooking, so I know how to do it. And I mean, the times that I was around him anyway. So I had that in my pocket. That was basically the only meal I know how to cook when I joined the army was an omelet. When I got to the army and we had our own, like we had the option to go into the dining facility, but where we were, we had our basic allowance for sustenance. So that meant we had about $300. I wonder how big these caves really are. We had about 300. Each of us had about $300 per month for food, and we didn't have a stove in the barracks. But no one told us anything if we had appliances and stuff. So I had to use. I went through a bunch of different appliances. Like so many different cooking appliances. I had an electric all-in-one pot that my mom bought for me that I used for soups and frying things because I would fry fish. I did learn how to fry fish because I never really was allowed to cook in the kitchen, but I did stand around and watch my mom fry foods and stuff. The treasure is behind a nearly impenetrable window of crystal glass. Not that I could make so much use of it anyway. So yeah, New Wave oven was cool. That was a good little way to have an oven when you don't have an oven. Air fryers. They didn't have air fryers, but air fryers are a piece of chalk. Now they'll be able to paint the pale moon that will remain forever enshrouded. Huh. Cool. I did the Optifal, Optigrill, Tefal grill, George Foreman grills. I think my first appliance was a George Foreman grill, and I used to cook chicken breasts on it. And it takes a lot of finesse to cook a chicken breast right, because it's not just about heating the chicken up. You have to render the chicken. And what that means is it turns like this golden brown. And it tastes. If you don't do it right, it doesn't have the same taste. But you have to have like it needs to have fat for it to render. But whatever. So I practiced a lot of chicken breasts. That was my second one, I think. Then I started making pot roasts. I did a crock pot, and and I would start making pot roasts. I like eye of round roast. That's my favorite cut of pot roast is the eye of round roast. And just I would just put it in there with the McCormick pot roast mix and set it and forget it. And then when I get back from work, I'd have a freshly cooked pot roast in my barracks room, and it was a slow cooker, so it wasn't dangerous. And there was always the potential of getting in trouble for that, but a lot of times NCOs and officers, even though they have policies, if they don't think you're a complete idiot, they might just bypass it. So I ate a lot of pot roast. That's also when I started, because I was doing CrossFit, and that's where I learned nutrition, was from CrossFit class back in 2011, no, 2012. That's how I learned nutrition. I joined CrossFit, and the owner was this pregnant lady, and when we joined and she wasn't just a pregnant lady, she was like a super fit pregnant lady, because all these CrossFit women, they'll still be lifting 100 pounds over their head with babies like about to pop out of them. They're super impressive. They're super impressive women. But they taught me a lot. They kind of gave me a mode to what to look for in a woman, and I was pretty successful with that. And I started to recognize what kind of strength women were capable of, and I looked for that. I found it, and I try to find that in all my friends, though, because it's real hard to, it's hard to be friends with someone who just compromises themselves. So what they taught me was it was paleo. My favorite meal, or my favorite food, left and right limitations, is the Paleolithic diet. I read the book, The Paleo Solution by Rob Wolf. One of my fellow soldiers in the barracks recommended it to me. But the CrossFit place told me about the zone diet, which is, okay, this door should lead to the library, but it is blocked from the other side. I will add this event to my list of disappointments. I now have 3 times disappointments. Okay. The zone diet is basically what they told me, and that's portion control, and that's where I learned about macronutrients. Macronutrients are protein, fat, and carbohydrates. And if you don't have the right amounts of those, that's when starvation and ill health will set in. Everything other than those macronutrients, they're micronutrients, and those are like vitamins and minerals. That's not something I'm good at. I'm not good at the micronutrients and phytonutrients. I've never looked into it. I take a multivitamin. I just take a lot of vitamins to make up for my poor nutrition, and I focus on the macronutrients, which is why I'm fat, because I could be eating a lot better and I'd be less hungry if I had the proper nutrition. But so there's macronutrients, micronutrients, and phytonutrients, which are even smaller than micronutrients. And so I combined the zone diet with the paleo diet. And so basically I used the paleo diet to decide what it was that I was going to eat, and then I would use the zone diet, the block structure, to teach me how much of each thing to eat. And the purpose of this was to provide enough energy to be able to survive the exercise that I was doing. And not just survive it, but to be able to keep going back every day. And it was pretty successful, man. There was a period of time where I was eating and Paleo Solution is a very meat-heavy diet. I was eating a package of bacon every morning. My breakfast was I'd eat a pound of bacon every morning. And I promise you, I had more energy then than I ever had. I can't do that anymore. My stomach's a little different. My body's different. I don't need that as much. I personally believe that, I don't know how to say that. I'll save it for another time. But so anyway, that's nutrition in a bundle, right? So there's three components to food, right? Nutrition, which is like the macronutrients, micronutrients, and phytonutrients. Portion, no, no, no. So there's the actual nutrients. There's the what kind of food is it? Because essentially the paleo solution, people make fun of it as being a fad diet, but what it really is it's an allergy elimination diet. It's basically don't eat milk, any kind of dairy product, any kind of legume, or any kind of grain. And the purpose of that is to see if there is a food allergy, because doctors don't really test for food allergies. And I found that after I had eliminated all of these things from my diet, my health improved. So I was basically eating meat and vegetables and fruit. I ate a lot of fruit. I tried not to eat any. I mean, I did pretty well. The test is if you can eat a paleo diet for 30 days without any mistakes, and then eat a piece of bread and see how it makes you feel. Me personally, it makes my skin itch. Like my skin all over will itch when I eat bread. So yeah, so nutrients, the actual where the food's coming from, and then the cooking is probably among the most important things, and it just requires an intense amount of practice and trial and error. Like I've wasted so much food trying to create new meals, and whenever I want to learn a new meal, I try to cook it over and over and over and over until it's good enough that I'm satisfied with it, and then I won't eat that meal for like a long time, but I'll have learned the recipe so that I can make it. Um, so that's nutrition. I have a personal trainer certification for the exercise component of it though. I did that while I was waiting on my own king to come back. You know, I'm not waiting for a king to come back, but I don't know what I'm waiting for. I guess, well, I don't want to say what I'm waiting for, I guess is what it really is. I'm ashamed of myself. But, my nose is not quite sharp enough to carve out this crystal. Maybe I can find a handy mattock somewhere. So, I exercise a lot. After I got out the military, I jumped straight into exercise. Like, as soon as I got out the military and I didn't have all the things that were important to me, I immediately signed up for a CrossFit gym, because exercise is one of the greatest antidepressants I've ever experienced in my life. And it really makes a difference. There's some things that I wouldn't have survived if I hadn't joined CrossFit or, whatever club. I take a lot of classes. I take a lot of fitness classes. I can't wait to sit on my armchair again. I take a lot of fitness classes because I'm always trying to learn and improve myself. And since I'm not very good at making friends, I find that it's a lot easier to make friends if I take a lot of classes. And that's held true. I don't have any long-term friends from any of them, but I've met a lot of people that I have a lot of respect for because of them. And I've learned a lot. I've tried pretty much everything that was available to me in the area I'm in, and things online, just to keep myself going. I'm not much of a reader anymore. I'm working on that. So instead of reading and stuff, I kind of just exercise until I can't move, and then I sit around and watch TV and play video games until I can stand up again. But recently, I've become disdainful of cooking to the point that completely switched my entire diet to cheese burritos. Entirely. I don't eat anything but cheese burritos and water and tea. And the reason for that is pound for pound, weight by weight, cheese has the same amount of protein as meat. So I can just eat cheese and have the same amount of protein as if I'm eating Wagyu beef. You know? It also has a lot of fat. And fat is important for long-term energy. Carbohydrates are short-term energy. Fat is long-term energy, and it also lubricates the body and makes up the myelin sheaths around the nervous system, which if you don't have myelin sheath on the nervous system, you'll have misfiring, and that's what multiple sclerosis is. It's when the myelin sheath, which is made of fat, is degenerated. And, you know, anyway, so your body needs fat for a lot of things, and if you don't eat it, you'll just start to deteriorate. I've seen it within myself. So fat does that, and it's long-term energy source. And if you do anything like distance running, and this is something I experimented with myself reading papers, is I completely quit, and this was after this was after I was doing CrossFit. And when I really started to start reading research papers about exercise online and stuff, and when because I'd get off of work, and if I didn't have Kung Fu night that night, I would just read. I'd sit at home, watch TV, or sit in my barracks room, watch TV, watch movies, and then I'd read, because I was always getting injured. So I was always looking up, how do I heal this injury? 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 And I'd read research paper after research paper after research paper. And I learned a lot. Let's go put some fire in this. Yeah, it's pretty cool. The king warned me that I should never leave these caves. I wonder what exactly he meant by that. I need flint. Alright, so in addition to that, I'm testing to see if I can eliminate my any kind of food allergy to cheese, dairy, and gluten by just eating it exclusively. It sort of works, not completely, but my stomach doesn't hurt nearly as much as it did before. So I kind of eat it as an allergy shot. The king told me to wait for 400 days. Then I should awaken him, and he will end all fear and longing. I wonder what will happen. At least my birthday will be a bit sooner. The Goose Girl. There was once upon a time an old queen whose husband had been dead for many years, and she had a beautiful daughter. When the princess grew up, she was betrothed to a prince who lived at a great distance. When the time came for her to be married, and she had to journey forth into the distant kingdom, the aged queen packed up for her many costly vessels of silver and gold, and trinkets also of gold and silver, and cups and jewels, in short, everything which appertained to a royal dowry. For she loved her child with all her heart. She likewise sent her maid-in-waiting, who was to ride with her, and hand her over to the bridegroom, and each had a water, and each what? Why'd the page change? Weird. And each had a horse for the journey, but the horse of the king's daughter was called Falada, and could speak. So when the hour of parting had come, the aged mother went into her bedroom, took a small knife, and cut her finger with it until it bled, and then she held a white handkerchief to it, into which she let 3 drops of blood fall, gave it to her daughter, and said, "Dear child, preserve this carefully. It will be of service to you on your way." So they took a sorrowful leave of each other. The princess put the piece of cloth in her bosom, mounted her Dear child, preserve this carefully. It will be of service to you on your way. So they took a sorrowful leave of each other. The princess put the piece of cloth in her bosom, mounted her horse, and then went away to her bridegroom. After she had ridden for a while, she felt a burning thirst, and said to her waiting maid, "Dismount, and take my cup which thou hast brought with thee for me, and get me some water from the stream, for I should like to drink." "If you are thirsty," said the waiting maid, "get off your horse yourself, and lie down and drink out of the water, so I don't choose to be your servant. Drink out of the water. I don't choose to be your servant." So in her great thirst the princess alighted, bent down over the water in the stream, and drank, and was not allowed to drink out of the golden cup. Then she said, "Ah, heaven!" And the 3 drops of blood answered, "If thy mother knew this, her heart would break." But the king's daughter was humble, and said nothing, and mounted her horse again. She rode some miles further, but the day was warm. The sun scorched her, and she was thirsty once more. And when they came to a stream of water, she again cried to her waiting maid, "Dismount, and give me some water in my golden cup." For she had long ago forgotten the girl's ill words. But the waiting maid said still more haughtily, "If you wish to drink, drink as you can. I don't choose to be your maid." Then in her great thirst the king's daughter alighted, bent over the flowing stream. Why did it start to do weird again? Where was I? The 3 drops of flood. Oh, it's repeating. "And she was thirsty once more, and when they came to a stream of water, she again cried to her waiting maid, 'Dismount, and give me some water in my golden cup.' For she had long ago forgotten the girl's ill words. But the waiting maid said still more haughtily, 'If you wish to drink, drink as you can. I don't choose to be your maid.' Then in her great thirst the king's daughter alighted, bent over the flowing stream, wept, and said, 'Ah, heaven!' And the drops of blood again replied, 'If thy mother knew this, her heart would break.' And as she was thus drinking and leaning right over the stream, the handkerchief with the 3 drops of blood fell out of her bosom, and floated away with the water without her observing it. So great was her trouble, the waiting maid, however. So great was her trouble. The waiting maid, however, had seen it, and she rejoiced to think that she had now power over the bride, for since the princess had lost the drops of blood, she had become weak and powerless. So now, when she wanted to mount her horse again, the one that was called Falada, the waiting maid said, "Falada is more suitable for me, and my nag will do for thee." And the princess had to be content with that. Then the waiting maid, with many hard words, bade the princess exchange her royal apparel for her own shabby clothes. And at length she was compelled to swear by the clear sky above her that she would not say one word of this to anyone at the royal court. And if she had not taken this oath, she would have been killed on the spot. But Falada saw all this, and observed it well. The waiting maid now mounted Falada, and the true bride the bad horse, and thus they travelled onwards, until at length they entered the royal palace. There were great rejoicings over her arrival, and the prince sprang forward to meet her, lifted the waiting maid from her horse, and thought she was his consort. She was conducted upstairs, but the real princess was left standing below. Then the old king looked out of the window, and saw her standing in the courtyard, and how dainty and delicate and beautiful she was, and instantly went to the royal apartment, and asked the bride about the girl she had with her, went went to the royal apartment and asked the bride about the girl she had with her, who was standing down below in the courtyard, and who she was. I picked her up on my way for a companion. Give the girl something to work at, that she may not stand idle. But the old king had no work for her, and knew of none. So he said, I have a little boy who tends the geese. She may help him. The boy was called Conrad, and the true bride had to help him to tend the geese. Soon afterwards, the false bride said to the young king, Dearest husband, I beg you to do me a favor. He answered, I will do so most willingly. Then send for the knacker, and have the head of the horse on which I rode here cut off, for it vexed me on the way. In reality, she was afraid that the horse might tell how she had behaved to the king's daughter. Then she succeeded in making the king promise that it should be done, and the faithful Falada was to die. This came to the ears of the real princess, and she secretly promised to pay the knacker a piece of gold if he would perform a small service for her. There were dogs outside. There was a great, dark-looking gateway in the town, through which morning and evening she had to pass with the geese. Would he be so good as to nail up Falada's head on it, so that she might see him again more than once? The knacker's man promised to do that, and cut off the head and nailed it fast beneath the dark gateway. Early in the morning, when she and Conrad drove out their flock beneath this gateway, she said in passing, Alas, Falada, hanging there. Then the head answered, Alas, young queen, how ill you fare. If this your tender mother knew, her heart would surely break in two. Then they went still further out of the town and drove their geese into the country. And when they had come to the meadow, she sat down and unbound her hair, which was like pure gold, and Conrad saw it and delighted in its brightness, and wanted to pluck out a few hairs. Then she said, Blow, blow, thou gentle wind, I say, blow Conrad's little hat away, and made him chase it here and there until I have braided all my hair. And bound it up again. And there came such a violent wind that it blew Conrad's hat far away across country, and he was forced to run after it. When he came back, she had finished combing her hair and was putting it up again, and he could not get any of it. Then Conrad was angry and would not speak to her, and thus they watched the geese until the evening, and then they went home. Next day, when they were driving the geese out through the dark gateway, the maiden said, Alas, Falada, hanging there. Falada answered, Alas, young queen, how ill you fare. If this your tender mother knew, her heart would surely break in two. And she sat down again in the field and began to comb out her hair. And Conrad ran and tried to clutch it. So she said in haste, Blow, blow, thou gentle wind, I say, blow Conrad's little hat away, and make him chase it here and there until I have braided all my hair and bound it up again. Then the wind blew and blew his little hat off his head and far away, and Conrad was forced to run after it. And when he came back, her hair had been put up a long time, and he could get none of it. And so they looked after their geese, until evening came. But in the evening, after they had got home, Conrad went to the old king and said, I won't tend the geese with that girl any longer. Why not? Inquired the aged king. Oh, because she vexes me the whole day long. Then the aged king commanded him to relate what it was that she did to him. Conrad said, In the morning, when we pass beneath the dark gateway with the flock, there is a sorry horse's head on the wall. And she says to it, Alas, Falada, hanging there, and the head replies, Alas, young queen, how ill ye fare! If this your tender mother knew, her heart would surely break in two. And Conrad went on to relate what happened on the goose pasture, and how when there had and, and how when there he had to chase his hat, the aged king commanded him to drive his flock out again next day, and as soon as morning came, he placed himself behind the dark gateway, and heard how the maiden spoke to the head of Falada, and then he too went into the country, and hid himself in the thicket in the meadow. There he, there he soon saw with his own eyes the goose girl and the goose boy bringing their flock, and how after a while she sat down and unplaited her hair, which shone with radiance. And soon she said, "Blow, blow, thou gentle wind, I say, blow Conrad's little lyot away, and make him chase it here and there, until I have braided all my hair and bound it up again." Then came a blast of wind and carried off Conrad's hat, so that he had to run far away, while the maiden quietly went on combing and plaiting her hair, all of which the king observed. Then quite unseen he went away, and when the goose girl came home in the evening, he called her aside and asked why she did all these things. "I may not tell you that, and I dare not lament my sorrows to any human being, for I have sworn not to do so by the heaven which is above me. If I had not done that, I should have lost my life." He urged her and left her no peace, but he could draw nothing from her. Then said he, "If thou wilt not tell me anything, tell thy sorrows to the iron stove there." And he went away. Then she crept into the iron stove and began to weep and lament, and emptied her whole heart, and said, "Here am I deserted by the whole world, and yet I am a king's daughter, and a false waiting maid has by force brought me to such a pass that I have been compelled to put off my royal apparel, and she has taken my place with my bridegroom, and I have to perform menial service as a goose girl. If my mother did but know that, her heart would break." The aged king, however, was standing outside by the pipe of the stove, and was listening to what she said, and heard it. Then he came back again, and bade her come out of the stove, and royal garments were placed on her, and it was marvelous how beautiful she was. The aged king summoned his son, and revealed to him that he had got the false bride, who was only a waiting maid, but that the true one was standing there as the sometime goose girl. The young king rejoiced with all his heart when he saw her beauty and youth, and a great feast was made ready, to which all the people and all good friends were invited. At the head of the table sat the bridegroom with the king's daughter at one side of him and the waiting maid on the other, but the waiting maid was blinded and did not recognize the princess in her dazzling array. When they had eaten and drunk and were merry, the aged king asked the waiting maid as a riddle what a person deserved who had behaved in such and such a way to her master, and at the same time related the whole story, and asked what sentence such an one merited. Then the false bride said, "She deserves no better fate than to be stripped entirely naked and put in a barrel." Wait. She deserves no better fate than to be stripped entirely naked and put in a barrel which is studded inside with pointed nails, and 2 white horses should be harnessed to it, which will drag her along through one street after another till she is dead. "It is thou," said the aged king, "and thou hast pronounced thine own sentence, and thus shall it be done unto thee." And when the sentence had been carried out, the young king married his true bride, and both of them reigned over their kingdom in peace and happiness. The Goose Girl. That was a long one to read. How the time flies. I should be reading more. That was a cute story. Time goes faster in the company of great art. This one deserves a special place on my wall. I was talking about cooking before. Um, I got tired of cooking. My son doesn't like to eat anything I cook, so I don't know what to cook, so I just quit cooking. I just feed him whatever he's willing to eat. Yeah, this game reminds me of my life. The only difference is it's like what I'm waiting for is my child to return home every week. It's the main thing. supposedly adding things to the room speeds up the amount of time it takes. So improving the little house can actually make the time pass faster. So let's look at the second hand. We're just sitting in staring view. Not much. You want to go explore and find some new stuff? Read a book. Thus spoke Zarathustra. Oh, that's 154 pages. That's 1,282 pages. That's long. I wasn't expecting actual large books. Here's some thoughts. The king told me to wait for 400 days. Then I should awaken him, and he will end all fear and longing. I wonder what will happen. At least my birthday will be a bit sooner. The king warned me that I should never leave these caves. I wonder what exactly he meant by that. I wish I could dream of another place. I'd like to explore the caves, but I feel the presence of a great darkness lurking somewhere. Where is this darkness? Will I ever overcome it? I could really use a map of the kingdom. The cave is supposedly full of hidden places. I wonder when I will have discovered every part of the cave. I wonder when I will have discovered every part of the cave. So far, I haven't seen anything. I have seen a little bit. There is a secret library somewhere in the kingdom. I could use some more books, so I'd very much like to find it. I really need to read more. My dream would be to find a book that never ends. I read about the halls of eternity, a place where time stands still. Since I have some spare time while I'm waiting, I could try to make some use of it. After all, time goes by faster if you keep your mind occupied. My home is not comfortable enough for this long wait. I wish I had more colors for my art studies. It should be possible to find some different colored stones in the cave. I definitely need more pictures on my wall, especially lice pictures. Okay? A mattock would be a nice tool to have down here. I could try to enlarge my little home by hacking through the walls. There are crystals in many colors. I could harvest some of them and decorate my room. A bed would be a nice addition to my furniture. I could probably build one of those if I had the right materials. I could use some running water in my home, not that I have any need for hygiene, I just like the sound. Luckily, I don't need to eat, but it would be nice to grow some pretty mushrooms. It is very lonely down here. From time to time, it would be nice to see another pair of eyes. I'd really like to converse with someone, anyone. Sometimes, a beautiful melody is playing in my head. I wish I could play my favorite tune on my instrument to ease the pain of solitude. I should make a list of my failings. Maybe that will be a small accomplishment at least. I currently have 3 times disappointments, 1 time wood, 1 time flint, 23 times coal, 3 times paper. Well, I can't think of anything else right now. I guess I will just continue waiting in loneliness. Whoever made this game is impressive. This is exactly capturing my life. Except I can leave. It's a good idea to collect my thoughts in a book. I still have several things troubling my mind that I could try to figure out. It's a good. I already said that. Why did I go here? For some reason, I don't sleep during the day. I mean, at night. I sleep during the day. I don't know why. It's only useful during the summer. It's really difficult being a nocturnal individual and bringing a child to and from school. It's not really fair to him. So I try real hard to do my daytime schedule during the school year. But it just sucks. I feel wide awake like it's noon, and I don't know what to do. You know, it sucks. It sucks having to interact with other people. At least it sucks having to interact with other people who are on a different schedule. But it's nice to be able to interact with people either way. part of my instrument. If I gather all of them, I'll be able to make some music at home. I now have 3 times instrument parts. This looks like the entrance to a dark and lonely place. Just the neat thing I need. 3 doors, which one shall I choose? I should have predicted this outcome. You ever seen the movie 10,000 Years of Longing? It's about a genie. What a cozy place. The inscription reads, "Only a fool tries to reach the end of eternity." I'm a fool. Time seems to be standing still in these halls. Let me do this real quick. Why am I doing this? I'm gonna have to come back to this room later. I don't know what's going on here. This game is kind of making my soul hurt. It's it's accurate. All of it's accurate. So time doesn't move in there for a reason. not quite sharp enough to carve out this crystal. Maybe I can find a handy mattock somewhere. guess I'm lost. So, this game is super depressing. I guess the halls of eternity is me waiting for my wife to come home. Time stands still. It's endless. I hope she's well. It's well drawn. It's a bunch of words I don't understand and stuff. It's a well designed game. Looks like. should lead to the library, but it is blocked from the other side. I'll add this event to my list of disappointments. I now have 3 times disappointments. Moss Place. I gotta find the Matic. The day's start. 4 a.m. New day. If I had been able to sleep last night, I'd be going to the gym right about now. My day is pretty simple. It's entirely dependent upon how much health and energy I have, though. I think I'll probably be safe to say this since I don't think there's anyone watching. I spend 2 hours at the gym every day. And then, well, not right now every day because I've been not feeling well, but, and then that's it. I come home and try to play video games, but I watch TV, but I just don't have it. Just don't got them. These stairs should lead to the caves beyond the Earthen Palace. I don't think the king would like it if I ventured out there. truly alone. it's going. It's counting like 4 or 5 seconds at a time. That's it for now.